What's going on, guys? I'm here to talk about the top tier goalies, and I really want to start off by talking about the top two. These guys are interchangeable. I just want to let you guys know that Connor Hellebuyck, Andrei Vasilevsky. This is my actual overall rankings. Don't look to the left. These are just goalies I tried to rank based off of thoughts, and I thought I could just list them off and get them right, but I couldn't. I really had to look into detail, and I actually mathematically did all the shots against per games played based off of what team they play for and what to expect. So yeah, I kind of had to switch up the rankings quite a bit. I wasn't too far off, but I was off. So I really want to talk about talking. I really wanted to talk about the first two. These two are actually interchangeable, but as you can see, Connor Hellebuyck has a lot of shots against per games played, so he's actually going to be taking on a lot more shots than Andrei Vasilevsky. So in points leagues that actually matter for shots against, I would actually take Connor Hellebuyck uh, a lot more often than Andrei Vasilevsky in like the top, I don't know, like 14 players, I'd say. It's really tough. I put them in tier one just because I think they're both tier one players in different formats. So I kind of had to switch it up. Goalies are actually very interchangeable. It really depends on your format because some goalies will really kill it, some goalies will not. Um, yeah, so these two are pretty interchangeable. Remember, category leagues, probably Andrei Vasilevsky over Connor Hellebuyck, Connor Hellebuyck over Andrei Vasilevsky in formats that rely on points for saves, total saves, and dependent on their goals against as well. So if your main contributor to negative points is goals against, and the main contributor to points for is saves, then I would highly recommend Hellebuyck over Andrei Vasilevsky. So, for example, the league that I'm commissioning this year is a points league where saves are a huge part of how well your goalie does. I'm going to take Hellebuyck over Vasilevsky, although Vasilevsky is a very consistent, low floor, top tier two or bottom tier one type of goalie. Connor Hellebuyck is more of a top tier one goalie or a mid to top tier two goalie. So yeah, after that it goes to Igor Shesterkin. Man, this guy was unbelievable. He had a 95 save percentage in the KHL, and then he went from going from there to killing it in the AHL. So I would really recommend taking a flyer on him if you can get him in like the fourth or fifth round. Sorry, I wouldn't take him as early as the third round just because again, he's got a lot of upside. I think he's got the most upside in this entire draft for goalies. But at the same time, I don't really know if I trust him. Again, he's going to have a very high save percentage. But then again, I don't know about the starts. I think that's the one thing that I'm questioning is how many starts is he going to get? Is he going to share with Alexander Georgiev? I know they had very talented goaltenders in the backfield, but I don't know how well Georgiev is going to perform because if Georgiev performs very well, we might see Igor Shesterkin do a split start this season. But again, I think that he is the dominant and better goalie than Alexander Georgiev. So I have his save percentage pretty high. I have his starts high for now. It could be like a 50-32 split in an 82 game format in an 82 game season. Sorry. But I think that might be the worst case scenario. But I think the best case scenario is he gets like 57, 58 to 60 game starts. And then again, he's going to have a lot of shots against, which actually I think it's second in the league most shots against for New York Rangers the past couple of years. They do allow a lot of shots on goal, but again, he's going to have a high save percentage because they aren't really from the best angles all the time. So we'll see that, but that means his shutouts will probably be medium. A very talented goalie combined with a lot of shots against equals medium shutouts. Kind of makes sense there. And then his goals against average will just be good because, again, he's going to get scored on because he's going to get shot on so many times. And then I see him getting medium wins. I think that makes sense as well. I don't really see him getting that many wins with the New York Rangers. So then comes to number 4. We have Frederik Andersen. Again, he's going to be the opposite of a Robin Lehner. I think these two are literally the opposite types of players. Frederik Andersen is going to be the guy with a lot of starts, low save percentage, and then a very high shots against per games played. And then you have Robin Lehner, who's actually going to be like high to medium save or starts, and then high save percentage, and then the low shots against because he's on Vegas and they do not allow too many shots against, which allows medium shutouts and a very good goals against average. And then as you can see, Frederick Anderson has medium shutouts and an average goals against average because he's going to be on Toronto Maple Leafs, who allow a lot of shots against and they're very offensive heavy. Not super good on defense. I think that's just how their system is run because they have so much offensive talent. I think that's the right way to play when you have those players on your team, and that allows him to get a lot of wins. Same thing with Robin Leonard. He's going to be on a winning team as well. So it really is dependent on which one you choose, is because of what kind of type of league you are in again. So if you're relying on goalies to have good goals against average per week, like category leagues, I would probably pick Robin Leonard. Points leagues probably lean maybe a little bit more towards Frederick Anderson. But again, Robin Leonard could shine. He could get a 60. I wouldn't be surprised if he had like a 60-22 split with his netminder behind him. But then again, he's never really been a dominant shareholder for starts in a season. Like the last 2 seasons, people have been having nightmares because he's not really been the starter for the past 2 seasons, even though he's been spectacular in both seasons. It doesn't really make much sense, but for some reason, people just keep forgetting about Robin Leonard and giving the starts to someone else because for some reason, they just don't want to win. Now, let's look at Tuukka Rask, high save percentage goalie. Low shots, though. Shots against, I don't think he's going to save that many shots in general, but he will have a high save percentage. So, yeah, just because he has got low shots against, that's the only reason why I don't think he's going to save that many shots. High in shutouts, very good in goals against average. So those combinations kind of make him in the middle of the pack here. I think that's why he's a tier 3 goalie. If he was on a team that allowed a lot more shots against, I could see him becoming a tier 2 goalie. I just don't really have him there because in certain formats he's better than others, but I think he's pretty much a tier 2, tier 3 goalie in terms of overall play. Now, the reason I've got Carey Price is low, another player I want to talk about, because Carey Price, he's not been doing that great in the past 3 seasons combined. He really hasn't been all that Carey Price. He really wasn't the goalie that they thought they were like signing to a big contract. I think he really hasn't been performing like it. So they got Jake Allen behind him. I think that's a really good deal for them because Carey Price, I think, is struggling because he's been a workhorse the past couple seasons. And they even said that they wanted to start Jake Allen some more than Carey Price, or not more than Carey Price, but more often than their backup has been in the past. So I actually see Carey Price having a medium to high starts. I put him in the high starts just because I still think he might get a little bit more starts than normal. But I think that his shutouts will rise because he will be getting more time, more days off, and then he'll get more rest, and then he'll perform better when he actually plays. And then his save percentage, I have his medium right now. I think he had a 909 this past season, and I'm expecting it to go up to like 915, 916. It makes sense around there. I think for less starts, he'll have more rest days and probably better. He will lack more outlier games like a 900 or 875 save percentage games. Now his wins will probably be medium because his team's not all that amazing. Now I want to talk about the next two. I really want to talk about is Tristan Jarry, Carter Hart. Tristan Jarry, again, tier 3 goalie. He will actually probably be doing very well this season. It's just a matter of fact of how many starts he can get. There's always a big question when a player goes from being a backup that's really good to a starter. A lot of people have been having trouble transitioning, like Carter Hutton, I believe, had a trouble going to Buffalo and playing well there. I think that there are a few other examples. I can't really name them, but then there's been the opposite where like a player like Jordan Binnington goes from the backup to the starter. So there's a lot of different stories there. I think Tristan Jarry is one of the better ones, not the gooder. I could see him being a high star goalie this season. This is why I put him there. I think I could see him getting 50 games under his belt. Again, I don't know if you can rely on him that much, but he has been showing that he's can provide a high save percentage when he starts. So I have him at a high save percentage and then medium wins because I just don't think the Penguins are all that amazing. And then medium shots against totals. Again, I did all these by hand. I mathematically created them, and they all should be pretty accurate for the most part. So these are pretty much how many saves you're going to get throughout the season because goals against are very few and far between. You don't really uh, subtract them out that much because usually someone's save percentage is only probably like 10 goal difference when it comes to calculating these. But anyways, I see him getting a high shutouts because I think he did get a lot of shutouts for how many games he played. So I think that was pretty impressive. And then good goals against average. I think this all just because I have him at high, and then everything else is medium or good. Doesn't mean I think he's really all that amazing. There's still so many questions with him, so that's why I have him at number 10, not at like number 5 or number 6. So yeah, I think he could be a number 5 or number 6, but there's just so many questions to be asked, and he's also going from a backup position to a starter position, and that's where you get into trouble. So now, the next player I want to talk about is Carter Hart. Again, a lot of people are probably going to be bashing me because I have him so low at number 11. But hear me out on this. Carter Hart, he will have a lot of wins. He will get started a lot. He's going to be a workhorse for the Philadelphia Flyers. I think they'll have Brian Elliott only start like 20 to 25 games this season, or on an 82 game pace. So I don't know how many games that would be. But anyways, I don't see him having a low goals against or a high goals against average. I think it's going to be very good, but his shots against will not be very high at all, and I think he's going to be a medium save percentage. And this is why. Philadelphia Flyers allow the least amount of shots against in the entire league. So that means he's not going to be shot on that much every time he plays. Every time he plays, he's going to get the lowest amount of shots in the league on average, and then he will probably have a medium save percentage because he will be taking shots from pretty tough spots. But again, I think Carter Hart might have been finding his groove towards the end of his season, so I could see him having a high save percentage. I could see it going up to like a 917, 918. But again, he's not going to get shot on that much. So when it comes to points leagues, he's not going to be that high. So you could probably interchange Carter Hart with a up to like the top of the tier 3 or bottom tier 2. You could alternate these because in category leagues, goalies will probably be there will probably be a lot more goalies in the tier 2 category than the tier 3, just because goalies are relied more in those leagues. But when it comes to points leagues, Carter Hart is not going to be really that trustworthy because, again, he's not going to start that much. I mean, he's going to start that much, but he's not going to get shot on that much, and he's probably not going to be that much more valuable than a player like Tristan Jarry because Tristan Jarry will get shot on at least a medium. Medium amount. I just don't see Carter Hart being that valuable in points leagues where saves are counted as points for. So, aside from him, I have Pavel Vrinquaz. This guy, I don't even want to talk about. I think he just, I mean, I do have information on him. Their team is going to have high shots against, I believe. Yeah, so I kind of raised him. He's very medium all around. Jacob Markstrom, I think he's going to be taking the lead in Calgary. I think he will take a large majority start in Calgary there. And I think that they're transitioning from a very offensive unit to a very defensive unit. So I think that he's going to have actually a pretty good save percentage. So I think he's actually trustworthy as a starting goalie. That's why I have him in the tier 3. I think he's got the potential. Jacob Markstrom has the potential to be a top tier 2 goalie. If you want me to talk about potential, I think it's Markstrom, Hart, Jerry, and then I would probably call Samsonov and probably Shesterkin. They've got probably the most potential in this in the tiers below tier 1 to rise up. But then again, there's still a lot of questions to be answered. I think Robin Leonard actually has a higher chance of going down than up. Now, in the tier 4 and tier 5, this is where we get into starting goalies. Again, there's some other goalies that might be better than Koskinen over here, but I just put starting goalies for teams that I know will get a large majority start, or at least somewhat start in general. Like probably 45 plus games per season. I don't really know. There's so many questions about like Braden Holtby and Detri Demko, goalies like that. So for tier 4 category, we have Jose Saros, and I have Jose Saros as my top tier 4 candidate. Saros and Quemper are probably my two favorite goalies in this league, just because they're gonna be goalies that you can kind of rely on. Um, and just because you know what numbers they're gonna get. Like Darcy Quemper, he's on Arizona Coyotes. He had high save percentage the past 2 seasons. Quemper is a solid goalie, but at the same time, we don't know if Antti Ranta is going to start. So he's going to probably have medium to low start percentages. Where is he? I have him at medium starts right now. I think he could go to low, but at the same time, he's going to have a high save percentage because Arizona Coyotes are a team that allow they're a very defensive team. So they're not going to allow very high danger scoring chances against them. So I see Darcy Klemper getting a very high save percentage when he gets shot on, and they actually get shot on quite a bit. So that's a very good for your whole overall team. I would actually, if I knew he was going to be starting for their team, and I knew Antti Ranta was traded or something that made me more comfortable putting him out there, I would actually really want him over a lot of other players. I would actually probably put Darcy Klemper maybe above a Tristan Jerry, Carter Hart, and Carey Price. But then again, that's pretty bold even for just Arizona. Well, Arizona is actually one of the best teams to probably pick goalies from because they have such high save percentages. If you notice, Antti Ranta, Aiden Hill, they all have high save percentages just because of their team's play style and nothing more. Their team's a very low scoring team and they get not that many goals up against. It's only a few games a year that they actually let up a whole lot. So aside from him, I have Mackenzie Blackwood, another goalie I'm really excited about. Mackenzie Blackwood for New Jersey Devils. New Jersey Devils actually, I think they allow, they allow a lot of shots against, and it allows goalies to actually have a pretty decent save percentage, and that's what's killing it for points leagues. So if you have a guy that gets a lot of shots against and medium starts and medium save percentage, that's actually pretty good for a tier 4 goalie. I would take that any day over a lot of these goalies. And then you have his shutouts pretty high because he's on a team, again, a very defensive team. That's just how New Jersey organization has been run for the past few years. They've been a very defensive style type of team. So we'll see. And then his good goals against average should be good. Sounds about right. But then again, they're also trashy teams, so you're not going to give them any wins. Same thing with Darcy Quemper and the Arizona Coyotes. I don't trust Coyotes as a defensive team. I just don't see them doing that great. And then, so aside from him, we got Anton Khudobin. So Anton Khudobin, let's see what we got for him. I think I have him, high in wins, high in save percentage, high in starts, high in shots against, low in shutouts, and good goals against average. Now, you might be asking, like, if I've got him high in all these categories, why is he so low? Just because there's so many questions about Anton Khudobin. I don't even think he's as good as maybe, Ben Bishop, obviously, but Ben Bishop's out for the season, I believe. So that's why I don't even have him listed. I think you can't really trust on Khudobin to really be the starting goalie this season just because I don't really know if he played that well in the playoffs. I don't really remember. But also, you have Jaco Ettinger, the guy that they're trying to get to be the starting goalie for Dallas in the future. He's kind of like the Carter Hart of their team. He's a first round pick that's trying to become the top goalie for their organization. And when you have that guy as your backup, you really can never trust the guy that's starting. So that's why I have him at number 17. Again, if you can probably trust Anton Khudobin to get maybe more starts than a Pavel Francois if you know that Philip Grubauer is going to play a lot. So Anton Khudobin's actually not that bad of a choice. It's just I don't know if I trust him because he's kind of getting older, and then you also have a goalie that's just getting into the organization, Jaco Ettinger. So it's pretty tough. I don't really know what to say aside from that. Then I have Matt Murray. Matt Murray, again, he's going to be shot on the most in the entire league. He just went on the team with the highest shots against in the entire league. I don't expect him to get many shutouts at all because he's going to be shot on so much. I don't expect him to get that many shutouts in general for anyone that plays for their team. But his save percentage, now I want to talk about that. I think he could. It's got the potential to be high because Craig Anderson just did not look like a starting goalie last season, and he still had like a 909 save percentage, and he's pretty much a free agent and not getting signed back. Ottawa might be a defensive team. We really don't know because Craig Anderson's been filling that role for so long. I don't know if Craig Anderson was really like just a mediocre goalie or a good goalie or a bad goalie, just because we've never seen that many other goalies in his spot. So it's been so long for Ottawa to get a new goalie. We really don't know what to expect here. I really think it's going to be pretty mediocre for uh, Matt Murray, but I couldn't tell you. I know his goal wins won't be high because Ottawa's another dumpster fire team this season. They're pretty much team prospect, um, and then you have him starting a lot because he's going to be the only goalie there that's really reputable. Shutouts. I don't see him getting too many shutouts there, and then goals against average again, pretty average, maybe even bad. Don't really know with him, and then I have him getting low shutouts. Yeah, that makes sense because he's getting shot against so much. I think I said that already, but yeah. So Memory's a really weird book. He's gonna get shot against a lot, and he's gonna start a lot. So points leagues players, you might want to take a flyer on him if you can get maybe two goalies within these top tiers, and then you can pick a Matt Murray in number 18. That's really not too bad of a three goals you would want in a points league, especially in like a 12-team format. Teams are going to struggle to mask your power for goaltending, or like at least how good you are at goaltending. So now Elvis Merzlikins. I want to talk about this guy. So Elvis Merzlikins kind of had the better starting role for Columbus, I would say. He had the higher save percentage than Corpi Salo. He was really dominant in his AHL on the Cleveland Monsters, I believe it was. He had a very dominant performance there. He stepped it up to the NHL, played pretty well, outplayed his starter. I think it was Jonas Corpisalo, and he kind of took the role from him. I actually think Elvis will probably be the starting goalie for Columbus because Jonas Corpisalo really didn't have that great of a save percentage um, the past few seasons actually. So I think Elvis Merzilkins might actually take the starting role this season. I think it's still going to be competitive between him and Jonas Corpisalo, but then again, I still think he will come out the victor out of the two of them. I think he will outperform him, so I think he'll get this more starts, majority starter. I think he'll have a medium start total. I think it'll probably be around like 50 per 82 or something like that. 45, something like that, 48. But he will have a high save percentage just because um, Columbus is a very defensive team and they don't really score all that much. So you could expect them to have a very good goals against average, but he does not. He will not get shot on that much. So he will probably have high save percentage, very good goals against average. You could debate he actually has medium here. I'm actually going to switch that to medium just because Columbus is a good team. Even if he doesn't start that much, I think he'll win a lot of the time. So yeah, I have him at medium wins. Very good for formats like category leagues, but not as good for leagues like points leagues that rely on saves. So yeah. Aside from him, we have John Gibson. I don't really want to talk about him. I think enough said there. Just look at his totals here. Shots against, very high shots against, low save percentage kind of guy, but he could always step it up. Ilya Sorokin, I actually have him over Semyon Varlamov, even though Varlamov is the go-to guy for New York Islanders. I think Sorokin will actually maybe take the role from him. He hasn't played an NHL game yet, but he was killing it in the KHL. Um, Varlamov has not been the starter for a while, like a majority starter for a while. So we'll probably see Sorokin maybe take his position from him. We really don't know. There are a lot of questions there. That's why I have him in the tier 5. You could even put him down below players that aren't even on this list. But again, I still think that he's got more talent than a guy like Varlamov. Although Varlamov is always a good backup goalie. If you're in like a big deeper league, like a 15, 16 team league, I actually don't think Varlamov would be a bad third goalie. So then we have Bobrovsky, Koskinen, and Peter Mrazek. I think enough is said on them. I want to talk about Bobrovsky, last guy. So Sergei Bobrovsky, I have him right here. So I have him getting medium wins, low save percentage, very high starts. So he is a workhorse. Very talented goalie. The problem is his team is not very reliable in front of him, so he will struggle. His save percentage will show that here, low save percentage, and he will not get that many wins. He'll probably get a medium amount because he works so much since he gets a lot of starts. I can see him getting a medium amount of wins. Florida really isn't an awful team. They're just very offensive heavy, and they give up so many high danger scoring chances per game. As you can see, they let up a lot of shots per game, and a lot of them are high danger shots. So that's why they kind of struggle, and they kind of give Bobrovsky no hope. If you look before him, they really didn't give that many chances to goalies before Bobrovsky. I think Luongo was the last best goalie that they had, but he kind of ran out of steam and was starting to decline. So, but Luongo's kind of a legend, and um, I wouldn't really trust Bobrovsky to really come back this season. I could see him getting like a 9-10 save percentage. That's why I didn't put him in like very low or just a bad save percentage in general. That's why I put him as low. Still comeback potential. Probably not, though. I think it'll probably be a 9-10 goalie this season. And then you have shutouts, medium, and then bad goals against average, just because Florida always lets up so many goals against. So there it is. This is my 24 team or 24 player rankings, and these are just for majority shareholder goalies. Um, yeah, just this. These are an overall rankings. These are just a mix of category and the points leagues. I think these might be more favored towards points leagues just because I've got Hellebuck over Vasilevsky and I've got Carter Hart underneath some of these guys that should probably be higher in category leagues. So yeah, that wraps it up, folks. So thank you for watching, and look for some more of my videos.